Just what if the reason for your failure wasn't bad luck, but a spiritual attack? Watch till the end. This story will make you rethink everything. Prayer changes everything. David's shadow disappeared, vanished without a trace. His mother screamed in terror, but the true horror was yet to come. Miles away, his evil uncle smiled in satisfaction. David was no ordinary boy. At just 17, he was the pride of his village, brilliant, humble, and full of dreams. Born to poor parents who struggled to afford his education, every meal in their home was a result of sweat and sacrifice. His father worked as a laborer, and his mother sold vegetables at the market. Despite their struggles, they never gave up on their son. "Education is the only thing we can give you, my son," David's mother would always say, her eyes filled with hope. And David did not disappoint them. David attended Okrika Grammar School, one of the oldest and most respected schools in Okrika. From his very first year, he became a legend. In class, his hand was always the first to shoot up when a teacher asked a question. He could solve the most difficult mathematics problems faster than anyone, recite pages of literature from memory, and explain science concepts so well that even teachers were amazed. Students admired him, teachers loved him, and even the principal once said, "If we had 10 students like David, this school would be the best in Nigeria." One day, during a statewide inter-school quiz competition, David represented Okrika Grammar School against some of the best schools in Rivers State. The questions were tough: chemistry formulas, historical dates, literature analysis, but David answered each one effortlessly. By the end of the competition, Okrika Grammar School had won first place. The entire school celebrated, and David's name spread across the community. Then came the biggest news of his life: a scholarship. One day, during the school's morning assembly, the principal stood before the students with an official letter in his hand. "We have great news," he announced. "One of our students has been awarded a full scholarship to study at Rivers State University in Port Harcourt. His hard work, discipline, and intelligence have opened doors for him. Let us all congratulate David." The students erupted in cheers. David was overjoyed. His dream of going to university had come true, and his parents would no longer have to struggle to send him to school. But while the village celebrated, one man was boiling with rage. David's university journey. Months passed as David gained the scholarship admission into Rivers State University. Arriving at Rivers State University, David knew he had to make the most of this opportunity. He enrolled in computer engineering, a field he had always loved. His journey was not easy. While many students partied and wasted time, David remained focused. By his second year, he had developed a new software that helped automate university administrative tasks. By his third year, he was already interning at a top tech company, earning experience and connections. In his final year, he created a startup idea aimed at helping small businesses transition into the digital space. Then came graduation day. David sat among thousands of students when the vice chancellor stepped forward. "The best graduating student of Rivers State University is David." The hall exploded in cheers. As he walked to the stage, a renowned tech CEO stepped forward and announced, "David, we have been following your progress. We would like to offer you a high-paying job and a brand new car to start your journey." David was stunned. The entire hall roared in applause. But the blessings didn't stop there. Business investors approached him, impressed by his intelligence and work ethic. "David, we want to invest in your startup. You have a bright future." David was speechless. He had entered university as a poor village boy, and now he was leaving as a rising tech entrepreneur. Back in the village, the celebration was grand. His parents cried tears of joy, villagers danced, and even elders poured blessings on him. But not everyone was happy. David's uncle was a bitter man. His son Mark was the same age as David, but was nothing like him, lazy, entitled, and always in trouble. Unlike David's father, David's uncle never believed in education. Instead, he spent his time drinking and boasting about his connections that never helped anyone. When he saw how successful David had become, he was filled with envy. "How can my own brother's son be greater than my own?" he murmured angrily. Day by day, jealousy ate him up. He could not understand why his own son was failing while his brother's son was rising. Soon, anger turned into wicked thoughts. "If I can't have this kind of son, then he must suffer." And so, David's uncle went to seek the help of a powerful witch doctor. One cold evening, David's uncle sneaked into the deepest part of the forest where the feared witch doctor lived. The old man sat outside his shrine, grinding strange herbs and muttering incantations. "I need you to destroy someone for me," David's uncle said, handing over a bag of money. The witch doctor looked at him with lifeless eyes. "Who?" "My brother's son, David. I want him to fall from grace. Let him suffer. Let everything he touches turn to dust." The witch doctor smiled. "It shall be done." At night, the witch doctor prepared a dark spell, one so powerful that once cast, it could ruin a man's entire life. He tied a piece of David's clothing, which David's uncle had stolen, to a black calabash and buried it under a cursed tree. By morning, everything he has built will begin to collapse. And so, the nightmare began. The next day, David woke up with a strange headache. It was as if something heavy was pressing down on his spirit. He ignored it, thinking it was just stress. But as the days passed, his life took a terrifying turn. First, he lost a major business contract. Then his car mysteriously stopped working. Soon he was fired from his job over a false accusation. The worst part? Every doctor he visited said he was fine, yet he felt weak and sick all the time. One evening, as he sat outside his house, his mother noticed something strange. His shadow was missing. David's mother gasped. "My son, something is wrong. Your shadow, it is not there." David froze. He had heard tales of such things before. It was a sign of spiritual attack. Terrified, he ran to his father. "Papa, I don't understand what is happening to me." David's father, who had lived long enough to know when something was beyond the physical, took a deep breath. "My son, this is not ordinary. We must pray." That night, David's mother and father did something they had never done before. They prayed like never before. They fasted. They cried to God. For 3 days, they did not eat, calling upon the heavens to fight for their son. On the third night, something strange happened. At exactly midnight, David, who had been weak for weeks, suddenly jumped from his bed and screamed. His whole body shook violently, and his eyes turned white. His parents rushed to him, holding him as he gasped for air. Then, as if a force had been lifted, David let out a deep sigh and collapsed. At that same moment, miles away in David's uncle's house, a terrifying scream erupted from his room. "Fire! Fire! The fire is burning me!" He screamed, rolling on the ground. By morning, news spread across the village. David's uncle had gone mad, running into the forest, confessing his evil deeds. The witch doctor was found dead in his shrine, his body turned to stone. As for David, he woke up feeling lighter than ever, as if a heavy chain had been broken. From that day, David's mother and father never stopped praying for their son. They realized that the world was full of evil, and only a parent's prayer could stand as a shield. David's life was restored, he got an even better job, and continued to rise. But he never forgot what happened. And so he too became a man of prayer. Because if there was one thing he learned, it was this: the greatest protection a child can ever have is of their parents. Subscribe for more thrilling stories. Like if you believe in the power of prayer, and comment your thoughts below. What would you do if you were in David's shoes? Let's discuss.